Gentlelady from Illinois, Ms. Schakowsky, for 5 minutes.
Well, it is such a pleasure to see you here today. Thank you so much for what you have done, and I really think that this budget reflects what the president and actually really what the Democrats in Congress have wanted to see for everyday Americans, and to ask the wealthiest people to pay more, which I think is absolutely fair. So I wanted to just ask you what would actually be the effect of asking a small amount of people to pay an additional 25% in taxes, which I know, and you can correct me if wrong, would raise about $500 billion for our economy over the next decade. But I'm wondering if you could tell us, Director Young, if you could give an estimate of how many people would actually be subjected to this larger tax, and what is their average net worth?
I think you're talking about the tax proposal that we call the Billionaire Tax. It's also
Yes.
hundreds of millionaire tax. It affects the wealthiest 0.01% of taxpayers. It hits the top 1% billionaires and hundreds of millionaires. It raises $500 billion, even though this is a small population. So that speaks to the wealth in this population. That speaks to the ability for them to use the tax system in ways that are not available to working families, most of whom work, get a paycheck, get taxed a certain rate, and have no idea of and cannot avail themselves of the same loopholes that this top 1% can. So we think it's common sense. OMB and our CEA at the White House have a report that says some of these hundreds of millionaires and billionaires, the 400 billionaires, the richest Americans, paid a tax rate of just 8% from 2010 to 2018.
And that compares to what the average American might pay.
That's right.
what?
They should not get to pay over 10% less than nurses, firefighters, teachers, and people who go to work every day and get taxed on their work.
Well, I certainly think most Americans think that, but most Americans also think that what is in this budget is really going to help them, and isn't that what we're really supposed to be about? We know that the permanence of the child tax credit, which we saw in the 1 year it worked, that it reduced child poverty by almost half, that we're going to have universal preschool, which would be so fantastic, a doubling of the Pell Grant, which would help so many people that would go to college. We're going to see a lowering of the cost of health care for most Americans. This budget answers the needs of most Americans, and I am so much in favor of it, and I think if we, regardless of party, ask people if these are the things that you want to see the federal government do for you, then this is it in the budget that has been presented. I'm just wondering if there's anything else you wanted to add.
Look, as a parent of a 2.5-year-old who we thankfully live in a place with near universal pre-K 3 or 4, the path that is highly researched, it sets a child on, all Americans should have access to that.
What about child and family leave, too? I mean, the family leave.
I mean, it's just common sense. One shouldn't have to choose. Think about hourly workers. Jobs threatened if they take time off. You shouldn't have to choose between being there for your family, whether that be due to an illness, to a child being born, and worry about losing your job. So it is about how we view ourselves as Americans and what should be available to people and what is treated as a right for people. It is also investments in what we believe create economic growth. This isn't just about spending and taxes. We want to also invest in programs that will allow the economy to stretch, bring more people into the workforce. We believe childcare, pre-K, paid leave will help do that.
So no downside. We help the economy and we help the American people. Thank you, and I yield back.
Thank the gentlelady.